Welcome back to another episode of Home Sweet Home Cooking. I am your host Rocky, again in my mother's kitchen. She is going to be running around in the background as usual. Today we are doing a bunch of pies. So before you can make pies, you got to have a pie crust. We do buy a lot of pie crusts and roll them out just because it's easy. However, my mom has made pie crust from scratch from as far back as I can remember. She's got her own never fail pie crust recipe. So let's see if I can fail. Sift together. Forget the sift unless you're that anal retentive. 3 cups of flour. All-purpose flour, not self-rising. Right, Mom?
I think anyone would do, because when that recipe first came out, I think they might not have had the all-purpose yet, but I'm not sure.
Well, I think all-purpose came before the self-rising. Self-rising is just when they add baking soda.
Oh, okay.
And you're adding, this gets baking powder, so I would assume that because it calls for a leavening agent that you don't get the self-rising. And you really don't want a pie crust to rise. Do you?
Not too high.
Alright, so that's, was that 3 or was that 4?
That was 3.
3 cups of flour, 1 teaspoon of salt, one half teaspoon of baking powder. Baking powder does go bad, so only buy a small amount if you don't bake a lot. No, I shouldn't say it goes bad, it loses its leavening. I'm sorry, it doesn't go bad. You can still use it, it just won't give you the outcome you're looking for. Into this, well, first I'm gonna, because I didn't sift it, sifting mixes the ingredients, I'm just gonna mix it up a little bit. You can use your fingers if you want, my hands are clean-ish.
Ish.
Clean-ish.
Ish.
I mean, I was just touching my camera equipment, but I think we'll live. I don't think I've ever seen my mom wash her hands. I'm sorry. Yes, especially when she worked at the restaurant. Alright, into that is going to be 1 1/4 cups of home rendered lard. I'm sorry, I didn't home render it, neither did she when she did it. Or 1 1/2 cups of spry, which is shortening. So, I have some lard. I don't know if I've got enough to do it all in lard. Got this left over from making biscuits.
Lard actually makes the greatest pie crust.
It does.
It's flakier, and it's harder to handle.
Yeah. Well, this is a 1 pound block of lard that's wrapped in wax paper. You can get lard in a tub, just like shortening, and it's easier to work with.
Yeah, I did, didn't I?
Well, I got the 1 pound because for the longest time I'd gotten away from making biscuits when I was trying to do a kind of a keto and Atkins diet. You can have the lard, but you can't have biscuits, so I had to stop getting the lard because you can use other fats in a keto diet. And most of the time you end up making stuff with butter. Alright, so that's 1 of the cups. Come on. Yeah, it is kind of hard to get them out of the bottom of these. You don't want this to be really warm because you're going to leave it in chunks in the bowl. Alright, 1/4 of a cup. Just a little short, like I figured. So I'll make up a little bit of a difference with some veg oil, or veg shortening, I'm sorry, not oil. I'm assuming that they make shortening the same way they make lard. They just boil the vegetables down and skim the fat off. Alright. There's my fat content. And It says to cut it in. If you have a pastry mixer, can you look at that? I think we're done with that. This is what you call a pastry, I don't know, pastry knife is this called?
Blender.
This is a pastry blender?
Yeah.
This is just one kind. This is a round wire. I like this one better than like mine. The one that I have at home, it's kind of a flat piece of metal and it's bent over the edges. It works. I just like this better. So you just start cutting through the fat with the cutter. Pastry cutter, not a pastry blender. It is a pastry cutter.
Okay. I knew we'd get there.
Can't get there from here though.
No.
Now about getting lost. The pies I'm going to make are going to be a secret. I'm not going to tell you what they are in this. You'll just have to keep an eye on the channel. I'm not even sure if this will get posted first. So the next 2 videos following this should be, there's 2 pies and 1 not pie, but don't say what it is.
I almost did.
And don't say what it is. Alright, so you're supposed to work it until you have pea-sized pieces.
That's close
Yeah,
enough.
that's close enough. They're not going to be perfectly round, but they're going to be, the fat's going to have worked this way, the flour's going to work this way through the fat, basically. So there's an interruption of crust when the fat melts inside your crust. That's why you don't want to work it in completely. You'll have pockets of fat flowing between the layers of the flour, which makes it flaky. So you don't want to mix it in completely. You want the fat to be able to flow. Actually, do I still need that to mix in? No, I use the fork for that. Alright, so next, in another bowl, 1 egg. Give that a little beat. And into that egg is the weird ingredient to her pie crust.
That's what makes it no fail.
Yeah, apparently, is 1 teaspoon of vinegar. Just white distilled vinegar, plain vinegar, nothing fancy, no balsamic, no malt, no cider, just white distilled vinegar. And 5 tablespoons of water.
I did have a neighbor once that did fail it. And I mean, she really failed it.
You want to give a name on that?
Mary something. It was in Arizona.
Oh, okay. Alright. So Mary something, if you're watching. Kathy just threw you under the bus. Alright, then you're just going to mix this in until the liquid incorporates into the crumbs. And it's going to be crummy, but you just kind of want to let that rest of that flour hydrate and soak up the water and vanilla and the egg. You want it to be somewhat loose. You don't want it to be one solid consistency like Play-Doh, because then it wouldn't melt and have the flakes. Am I correct?
Correct.
Okay. So that looks like I can scrape the fork across the bottom and most of the flour is mixed in. There's a couple pockets there. My arthritis is kicking up.
Are you old?
Not yet, but it will be this summer. What day do I have my birthday, Mom?
Sunday? Monday?
What day of the month is it? What day was I born, Mom? What
the
date?
27th or the 28th?
For my entire life, we celebrated my birthday on the 28th of June until I went and I had to get my driver's license out, or to get a driver's license, I had to bring my birth certificate. Found out that my loving mother was celebrating my birthday on the wrong day.
Well, I was busy that day.
Yeah, having a kid. Yeah.
Having surgery to get you out.
Alright, so I'm going to just bring this together a little bit so I can get an idea of how much is in there, because I want to take half of that. Do you need to let this sit after you mix it?
No.
Okay. I'm going to do half of a half, make a quarter, because like I say, we're doing enough for 4 rounds of dough.
I never seem to get 2 doubles. I get a double and a single.
Well, then why did you tell me that it makes 2 doubles? If you have a sill mat or some type of pastry mat, go ahead and put it out there. And a rolling pin, please.
Where did you want it?
In my hand.
Oh.
A little bit of flour on the rolling pin, help the dough from sticking. And you don't want to try to get it out to the diameter in one push. You just work gently back and forth. Yeah, I don't think this makes 4 doughs. I don't think there's any way that that's going to stretch thin enough to make 4 pie crusts, 4 rounds. What do you think? Is that going to be close? Not quite enough. Yeah. So I'd say this will make a double or and a single, but I don't think it'll be both of them. Let's see if I can get that to work out there. Alright, I'm just going to try to get these edges up, make it a little more rounder on the edge. Alright, do you have a pastry thingy? Pastry blade?
No.
No.
Just roll it up over it.
This is to get it to stop sticking on the counter. So you're gonna
You want a spatula?
grab the edge and start rolling it gently onto the rolling pin as you pick it up. I should have a little more flour down on the surface. And then gently lay it out. Hold on, I'm gonna slide it in there a little bit. Alright, now that it's in, you can fold the edges down and make your crust as round as it needs to be. This isn't a fancy French tart, so you can break a little off and put it where it needs to be. There's a little bit of that over here on the floor. In the floor. Don't get me started. Alright. So that's a rustic looking one because I have not made a pie crust in a while. So I'm going to go ahead and get the second one knocked out. And then we're going to show you both of these pie crusts that we're making now are going to get blind baked. If you want, you can go ahead and put the baking beans or beads in them, whatever, and put them in the oven. Oh, you also need to dock them with a fork. Did we take the fork away?
Yeah.
You just gotta poke the bottom with a fork, get holes in it. They're gonna preheat the oven to 450, 400 degrees, something like that. And it goes in the oven. This is what the docking is. Just poke a bunch of holes in the bottom. Not exactly sure. I think it lets some steam out of the bottom of it, so it doesn't rupture the crust.
I think it doesn't rise as much. Otherwise, you know how it bubbles in the middle?
Yeah, it's part of the baking powder and baking soda. When you put it in, it creates bubbles. So this is letting some of it out, so it doesn't bubble up off the bottom and it remains a flat crust. All right, so I'll get the other one rolled out. We're gonna save the third of it for a different rolled out, and then I'll show you what we do with the extra. Okay, so there are 2 different times that I read. One says to blind bake at 450 degrees for 11 to 13 minutes. Another recipe says 400 for 20 minutes. So we're doing 450 for 11 to 13 minutes because it's faster. All we did, or what we normally would do for the treat, like I said, if you want to use the leftover dough, just leave it rolled flat, sprinkle on some sugar and some cinnamon, and put that in next to the pie or the crust while it's baking, and it comes out this rich, flaky, buttery cinnamon sugar toast.
Good.
But we didn't have any left over because this recipe, even though it said it makes enough for two-piece pies, in reality we only got enough 3 rounds.
And it might be a smaller pie tin they're talking about.
Yeah, it might be a smaller pie pan they're talking about. But if you want to make this recipe to make 2 full pies, covered pies, you're going to have to double the recipe, and then you'll have plenty extra dough to make the little cinnamon sugar treats.
Oh, you have dough left over.
Yeah, those dough is really good cooked like that too. It's fantastic for a little crispy snack. Kids loved it.
Didn't you?
This kid. So
Ricky did too.
Oh yeah.
So did I.
Yeah, this kid. So 11 to 13 minutes at 450 degrees. We'll get them out. We'll take a look at them. We'll wrap up this video, and then we're going to get on to making the pies. So we'll see in just a few moments. So the video got screwed up for the ending of this, so I've just taken a crop out of another video. This is the pie crust that we made. It is going in one of the pies that we are making, which you can see those videos here. But if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and subscribe. And I hope you all had a great day.